Welcome to the Jellypod podcast.
It's true, though. And it's not just something theoretical. Over 15,000 podcasts have already been created using Jellypod. That's a lot of people trusting this tool to bring their ideas to life.
15,000? When I first heard that number, I thought, okay, but how many of them are humans secretly uploading episodes made by their cats?
Well,
kidding. But seriously, I've got to admit, when I started playing with it, I had this daydream about just setting it on full auto mode and making podcasts while lounging on a beach somewhere. Automation goals, am I right?
very ambitious goals, Shiela. But you bring up an interesting point because that's actually the appeal here. Jellypod isn't just about automation, it's about making creative control accessible. You're not replacing your input, you're enhancing it.
And in like 25 different languages too. That's bananas. Like Jellypod is letting people reach audiences everywhere, from Swedish listeners to Tamil speakers. It's like the Tower of Babel, but useful and not a complete disaster.
Exactly, it's that multilingual capability that's genuinely empowering. Creators can now connect with communities and countries they'd never have reached otherwise. And it's not just language. The accents, tones, everything can be fine-tuned to make the content resonate better with those audiences.
Right? So instead of just shouting into your own local void, you're talking to the whole world. Pretty slick if you ask me.
And it's not just slick, it's purposeful. It opens up dialogues across cultures and broadens perspectives, which I think is the whole point of podcasting, really. Speaking of all those incredible possibilities, let's talk about how Jellypod turns your creative spark into something real. So imagine you've got this fantastic idea for a podcast episode, but you're not entirely sure where to get started.
Been there. Like that staring at a blank screen for an hour and watching cat videos instead kind of moment.
Exactly like that. But with Jellypod, you don't have to worry. You can upload a file, paste a URL, or even use a web search to pull in all your sources. It's designed to make gathering content incredibly simple.
Wait, so you're saying I can take, say, that funky PDF I've got buried somewhere or my favorite YouTube link and it'll just work?
Pretty much, yes. Whether it's a transcript, a document, or a video, Jellypod extracts the insights you need and builds from there.
Okay, that's kind of brilliant. Because honestly, wrangling all your source material is the part where I'd usually tap out.
Right, and it only gets better. Once your content is in, the outline guided creation tool helps you structure your episode. It's intuitive enough that even complete beginners can get a solid foundation for their podcasts.
Oh, nice. Like training wheels, right?
Sort of, but without being limiting. A good outline directly impacts the flow of a podcast, It keeps the conversation or narrative engaging and consistent.
So you're telling me my tendency to go wildly off topic during a story could be less of a problem now?
Possibly. But it's not just about outlines. There's the interactive text-based editor that lets you fine-tune everything, cutting, adding, rearranging. And of course, you can drop in some intro music for that professional touch.
Oh, gotta have the music. What's a podcast without those vibey beats to kick things off?
Exactly, the editor makes all these adjustments straightforward. So with Jellypod, not only can you create freely, but you can also polish each episode to perfection.
I gotta say, it does sound like they've thought of everything.
Now that your podcast is polished to perfection, let's talk about how Jellypod ensures the world gets to hear it. Every podcast comes with its own dedicated website and is automatically distributed to major platforms like Spotify, YouTube, and Apple Podcasts.
Oh, major platforms? Fancy. No more trying to figure out how to upload stuff to each place or praying my computer doesn't crash mid-upload.
Exactly. It's seamless. One upload, and before you know it, your content is out there, ready for the world to hear.
Love that. But let's say I've got this mess of a document full of technical jargon and...
Oh, the context augmentation feature. That's what you're thinking of.
Yes. So what does it do again in human speak?
In human speak, it takes all that complex content, things like PDFs, spreadsheets, you name it, and transforms it into a podcast-friendly version. It simplifies the information so you can focus on storytelling without losing the substance.
All right, that's incredible. I mean, I can barely process a spreadsheet myself, and Jellypod's over here turning it into a podcast. Show off.
It's not showing off. It's making life easier for creators everywhere. And the cherry on top? The multilingual capabilities. your podcast can be translated into over 25 languages.
25? Mate, I'm just imagining what my voice might sound like in Russian or, German or...
Tamil?
Yes. Imagine me saying good day in Tamil. International Shiela. Has a nice ring to it, doesn't it?
It does. And it's not just voices, it's about truly connecting with global audiences. It's creators being heard in their authentic tones and resonating, even across languages.
Oh, I love that. It's like podcasting is this little act of world peace, one episode at a time.
It's powerful, isn't it? Giving everyday creators the tools to share their stories with the world. On that note, it's been a pleasure diving into this with you today. Thanks for tuning in to Jellypod, the AI podcast studio.
Catch you next time, folks.